Welcome everyone, we're going to take a look at exercise 54 where we're going to calculate some angles. I'm going to try and give you some general tips on this exercise which can hopefully help you with the other exercises as well. And I want you to of course be wary that you notate everything correctly. Let's take a look. In figure 5.49, this one, angle R3 is 42, it's given. R4 is 90 degrees, it's given with the symbol. And we don't know how big angle 5 and 6 are, but we do know that they are equal to each other at least. And now you want to calculate angle 1, 2 and R6. So not all of them, apparently not R5, but R5 is the same as R6, so it would be practically the same, right? Okay. What I find is that some people find it very difficult to start an exercise like this. Again, what I could advise you on is to follow the order that they give you the angles, because oftentimes it gives you a lot of information about how to tackle the problem. Another tip I can give you is to work with color coding, so make certain lines a certain color so it's easier to see what angles are straight angles or what angles are going to be opposite angles, because it oftentimes is easier to see when you draw it in. If you do that in your book, use pencils that you can of course after you use them erase them again, because maybe you make errors or maybe you want to use different lines. I would refrain from using markers, for example, because then when you made a certain color, then that's the color it's going to stay. They want us to calculate angle R1 first. Okay, this one. R1 is right here, so I don't know, for example, R2, because if I knew R2, actually I do think I can find R2, by the way, but let's go take a look at it later. I could do the straight angle rule here, and I know I can do that here because if you take a closer look, you'll see that I know R4 and R3. So I can calculate R2 using the straight angle rule and then another straight angle rule. But I think I can do it maybe a bit quicker here, because if I'm going to color the lines that make up angle R1, so that is this one and that is this one, it's now easier to see that R1 actually has an opposite angle that I know all the values of. You know that angle R1 is equal to angle R3 plus 4, so angle R3 4, which means it is the same as 90 plus 42. It's going to be 132 degrees. Don't forget the rule. Which rule did we use here? We used opposite angles. And I already showed you that you could also calculate it by first doing R2 and then doing the straight angle rule again, but I think this is the quickest way to do it, so why don't we use that one. Again, the other method is not incorrect, but I'll stay with this one for now. And now I'm going to delete the red lines because I'm going to maybe show you other things that will happen. What I already said in another example as well, what could help is mark which angles you already know or which ones you already calculated. That helps you also figuring out the picture a bit more. Or you can write it in here, for example 132. So I know now that I know that one. That's the first one down. Angle R2. Well, R2 I already mentioned. Actually, R2 is just part of a straight angle. Again, if you have difficulty seeing that, it's this straight angle right here, this straight line. That means that this right here is a straight angle, so together they're 180 degrees. That means that if I know two of them, I can calculate the third one. I can say that angle R2, 3, 4 is 180 degrees. Y straight angle. So, and I put my calculations here underneath. Let's do it underneath. So angle R2 is the whole angle 180 minus 90 minus 42 is 48 degrees. You see that I only put the degree sign at the end, by the way, and now the book also put it in between. My rule is that you don't have to put units at intermediate steps, and this is a unit that we use for measuring angles. Do put it at the end. If you want to put them all here, that's perfectly fine with me as well, but I won't grade you on that. I do grade you on your final one, right? So please put it there. And because we already set straight angle rule here, we don't have to put that down here as well, because this one follows from that. That's why I use the word so here. Okay, and that's the second one down. So again, if you prefer so, you can mark it, or if you want to, you can do it like that. Let's get, oh, don't move that, please, please. Just delete the red line here. If you're on the test, you can now also, if you want to, write in the value here, so you get a more complete picture of what we're doing. And now they want us to calculate angle R6. And you have to be careful here. For example, something you can do wrong is think, oh, I'm going to do R6 in one go with an opposite angle. But you see that there is no exact opposite angle here, because if I would continue this line in the same direction, you see that it would be something like this. What I sometimes see people do is do this, but this is incorrect. This is not an opposite angle, because this one doesn't have the same direction as that one. I already showed you. In that case, the situation would be like this, and this is not drawn, and I know not everything about angle A2. So be careful with that. Well, could be one way to do this. Sometimes you will see that this maybe is the bisector of that line, and then both of them would be 24. But let's not get into that theory right now. I think what we could do, what does work, is instead do this. So we're not going to take a look at angle R6 alone. We're going to take a look at angle. We're going to take a look at angle R5/6, and that is the same as angle R2. So angle R5/6 is the same as angle R2 because they are opposite angles. I would first write it down like this, 48 degrees, and then say opposite angle. And now the funny thing is, well, that's a terrible way to write angles. The funny thing is that because this line is a bisector of angle 5/6, it would also be a bisector of angle 2. So some people might have seen that and think, oh, maybe this line goes smack down the middle and then those are both 24 degrees. That actually is true. You see that happening right now. Now that we know that angle R5/6 is 48 degrees, and we know that angle 5 and 6 are the same measurements. Oh, angle R5 is angle R6. That means that both of them split that 48 by 2. So that means both of them are 24 degrees. Is this the only way to do this? Let's take a look. Let's first mark it, because we did finish the exercise. Oftentimes you will see there are multiple ways to do exercises like this. Yeah, what you could have done instead, if I delete this one, you see here you have a straight angle 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 180 degrees. So what you could have done is do 180 minus 90 minus 42. Then you also find that angle R5/6 is 48 degrees. And then still they're the same size, so then you find 24 as well. So I think multiple ways to do it here. Just as we saw with angle R1 as well. And it doesn't matter which one you choose, as long as you notate it correctly. Write down your intermediate steps, write down your rules, and then you get there. Okay, good luck.